James Doakes. The relentless cop, James Doakes, was never meant to be liked. Loud, aggressive, always watching Dexter with that stare that said, "I see you." But the longer the series goes on, the clearer it becomes. Doakes wasn't the villain. He was the warning. From the start, Doakes sensed something rotten beneath Dexter's calm smile. While everyone else saw a harmless lab geek, Doakes saw patterns, tension, lies. And that instinct made him one of the sharpest cops in Miami Metro. Tragically, it also sealed his fate. Doakes follows the trail alone. Piece by piece, he gets closer, until finally he catches Dexter in the act. Not suspicion, not theory, proof. But instead of justice, Doakes ends up locked in a cage, powerless, listening to Dexter explain why he can't kill him. Then Lila intervenes. The explosion was sudden and violent, and the cruelty doesn't end there. In death, Doakes is framed as the Bay Harbor butcher. A good cop was erased, a monster remembered. Maria LaGuerta. The captain's last stand. Maria LaGuerta was never the easiest character to root for. As a high-ranking officer in Miami Metro, she often clashed with the people fans loved most. Like Debra and Angel, putting her in a position of authority that made her intimidating and unyielding. But beneath that tough exterior was a dedicated cop who genuinely wanted justice, even if her methods were sometimes questionable. Her relentless pursuit of the truth ultimately led her to Dexter Morgan. Following in the footsteps of the late James Doakes, LaGuerta dug deeper than most, piecing together the Bay Harbor butcher case and coming dangerously close to exposing him. In a heart-wrenching twist, her pursuit collided with Debra's loyalty. To protect Dexter, Debra made the impossible choice. In a tragic moment of confrontation, LaGuerta was shot and killed by Debra. Her death was sudden, shocking, and devastating, not just because she was doing her job, but because it shattered Debra's morality forever. Rita Morgan. The sweetheart, Rita Morgan, had one of the most devastating deaths in Dexter, a moment that shocked fans and changed the series forever. From the start, Rita was portrayed as kind, gentle, and enduring, a woman who had survived abuse and heartbreak, only to find solace and love in her life with Dexter. Her warmth and vulnerability made her one of the most relatable and sympathetic characters on the show. Her death unfolded in Season 4, after Dexter had killed the Trinity killer, believing he could return to a sense of normalcy. He came home to a scene that no one could have anticipated. Rita had been brutally murdered by Arthur Mitchell, her body lying lifeless in their bathroom. The horror was compounded by the sight of her infant son, Cody, left alone in her blood for hours. The brutality and senselessness of her murder, a result of Dexter's entanglement with the Trinity killer, made her passing heart-wrenching. Rita's death was not only shocking, it was a grim reminder of how innocent lives could be shattered by unseen darkness. Harry Morgan. The silent burden. Harry Morgan, Dexter's father and the man who tried to navigate the darkness in his son, carried a secret weight that would eventually destroy him. Long before the events of the series, Harry had already faced the unimaginable truth. The boy he raised was a killer. For years, he did his best to guide Dexter, teaching him rules, instilling a code, trying to channel his urges. For a time, it seemed to work, but everything changed the day he saw Dexter in the act. Dissecting a body, methodical and cold. The father who had struggled with moral compromise could no longer bear it. In a haunting turn, Harry took his own life, a gunshot wound to the head ending his torment. For years, Dexter and Debra believed it was a heart attack. When the truth came out, the realization hit Dexter like a punch to the gut. Harry's death was a silent cry of anguish, proof that even the strongest hearts can break. Isaak Sirko. The bittersweet farewell. Isaak Sirko's death in Dexter is one of the most emotionally charged and heartbreaking moments in the series. Introduced as a ruthless Ukrainian mobster, Isaak was driven by vengeance, coming to America to uncover the identity of the man who killed his lover and associate. His path inevitably crossed with Dexter, and while he was prepared for confrontation, Isaak revealed layers of honor and compassion that few expected. In his final moments, Isaak was mortally wounded while protecting Dexter, turning against his own people to ensure the safety of the man he had grown to respect. Lying on the cold floor, blood staining his hands, he showed a quiet dignity, offering Dexter unexpected wisdom and encouragement. He urged Dexter to embrace love and happiness, even if it meant taking risks he himself could no longer afford. As Dexter questioned whether the love Isaak had felt was worth his death, Isaak, with calm certainty, assured him it had been, making his passing both tragic and profoundly bittersweet. Arthur Mitchell, the Trinity killer, Arthur Mitchell, the infamous Trinity killer, wasn't just Dexter's most cunning adversary. He was a villain whose shadow lingered long after his death. His home life revealed a disturbing truth. His daughter Rebecca lived under his strict control, locked in her room and robbed of any normal childhood. When Dexter finally killed Arthur, it felt like a chance for Rebecca to breathe, to reclaim a life stolen from her. But the damage ran too deep. In Season 6, it was revealed that Rebecca's life ended tragically, mirroring the fate of her father's victims. Consumed by grief and blamed endlessly by her mother, she took her own life. Her death, though quiet and unseen, struck Dexter and the audience with devastating impact, a stark reminder that some scars linger far beyond the killer's last breath. Evelyn Vogel, betrayed by her own son. Evelyn Vogel's death was one of the most shocking and emotionally devastating moments in Dexter. Introduced late in the series, Evelyn was the brilliant psychologist who helped shape Harry's code, guiding Dexter in channeling his dark urges toward killers. She carried a heavy burden, knowing her own son, Brian Moser Saxon, possessed the same violent tendencies but without restraint, targeting innocent people without remorse. Despite understanding the danger, Evelyn never stopped loving her son and hoped she could reach him, just as Harry had with Dexter. That hope turned into horror when Saxon, in a moment of ruthless betrayal, slashed his mother's throat in front of her, ending her life instantly. Evelyn crumpled to the ground, her blood staining the room, leaving behind the tragic image of a mother's love destroyed by the very darkness she sought to control. Brother Sam. Brother Sam was one of the most morally complex figures in Dexter's life. A man who had walked a dark path, he had found God and sought redemption, turning his life around. Initially, Dexter questioned whether Sam truly met the code, but their intense conversations about faith, morality, and justice revealed the goodness within him. Tragically, his story ended in Season 6, Episode 6, Just Let Go, when he was shot. In his final moments, Sam displayed the same compassion that had defined him, asking Dexter to spare the man who had pulled the trigger. But Nick's disrespect of Sam's death forced Dexter into a devastating choice, killing Nick despite Sam's wishes. The scene was haunting. The dark passenger in Dexter surged not in anger, but as a chilling echo of Brian, reflecting a darkness that even Sam's goodness couldn't fully cleanse. Debra Morgan. The sister, Debra Morgan, was more than Dexter's sister. She was the heart of the show, his anchor, and the closest thing he had to genuine love. But her devotion to Dexter became her undoing. The beginning of the end came in Season 5 when Debra witnessed Dexter kill a man. From that moment, she was torn, trapped between her oath as a police officer and her loyalty to her brother. Watching her struggle, seeing her slowly unravel as she chose family over justice, was devastating. Her fate reached its tragic conclusion at the hands of the ruthless serial killer Saxon. While trying to stop him and protect others, Debra was shot and fell into a coma. Dexter, unable to bear her suffering and knowing her injuries were fatal, made the heartbreaking decision to end her life himself. Her death was cruel, emotional, and painfully fitting. Dexter destroyed her life, and in the end, he became the one to take it. Dexter Morgan. Dexter's death in Dexter. New Blood is one of the most tragic and emotionally wrenching moments in the franchise. Once the meticulous, controlled serial killer known as the Bay Harbor Butcher, Dexter had built a new life under an assumed identity, trying to bury his dark passenger. He even attempted to teach his son, Harrison, the same code that guided his murders, hoping to prepare him for the darkness Dexter had lived with. But Harrison was not the twisted mirror of his father. The tension between father and son reached its breaking point when Dexter's actions pushed Harrison to a corner. In the final confrontation, Dexter urged Harrison to shoot him, believing it was the only way to prevent further harm and teach a final, twisted lesson about consequences. Harrison pulled the trigger and Dexter fell, lifeless. The moment was gut-wrenching. Dexter, who had controlled death for decades, finally succumbed at the hands of someone he loved, leaving behind heartbreak, regret, and the haunting shadow of a legacy passed too young. Dexter's world is filled with tragic endings that cut deep, showing the cost of darkness and obsession. Which death shocked you the most, and could any have been prevented?